Welcome. Following is a video conversation with Dr. Aniruddha Malpani. He's an IVF specialist and an active angel investor in the Indian startup industry. In the following conversation, we spoke about malpractices that exist in the medical community, about how the internet has no longer been democratized but having taken over by large conglomerates and corporates such as Facebook, Google, Amazon. Also, we spoke about an personal incident that took place in his life, and his social media account on LinkedIn was taken from him. And what can be done to actually take away from individuals who are conducting these malpractices. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Let's get started.
All right, we are live, we are good to go. And first of all, I just want to say thank you very much for taking out the time to have this conversation with me. I really appreciate that. And before
but
we
you know what, Bhuvanyu, I want one thing from you.
Okay, please let me know.
I want to be entertained.
And entertain in which manner would you like to say?
I mean, the call should be entertaining. It should be fun. It should be interesting, not just for the people who are watching it, but for me also. So that's the only thing I'm going to ask from you. Is that okay?
Okay, so I'll just make sure that I engage you in the most interesting conversation that you can have, and you take
perfect
interesting. Okay.
Sure.
Now, before we actually get started, I just want you to actually take just 30 seconds for the viewers who will be watching to actually get to know you. So if you can give a 30-second intro of who you are, what you do, that would be really helpful.
So you want my version or my wife's version? Trust me, they're going to be very different. Kidding apart. So I'm obviously it's like everyone says, it's what your wife thinks about you which really counts, not what the rest of the world perceives. But I'm not going to go there. So, I'm Dr. Aniruddha Malpani. I'm an IVF specialist by profession. I've been running an IVF clinic with my wife, Dr. Anjali. She does the running actually.
Okay.
I mean, she's the one who she's the heart behind it. We've been doing this for 30 years. So that's my day job. And I always tell people, best job in the world. You get women pregnant. And their husbands pay you to do that for them. But, I continue practicing IVF. Very fulfilling job. Let me tell you that. I mean, it changed people's lives so dramatically as a result of doing IVF. One of the things we learned while doing IVF is there were still so many myths and misconceptions about it. So we spend a lot of time in what I call educating patients, what's called information therapy. So we wrote lots of books, and they're all available online free. The first book was How to Have a Baby. We created e-learning courses. We have a website called IVF India. The entire book is free on our website called drmalpani.com. So patient education was a big thrust. And as a doctor, I feel the reason the healthcare system is not very healthy today is because it's very doctor-oriented or very hospital-oriented or very administrator-oriented or very profit-oriented. And we need to put patients first.
Yes.
And that's why we've written lots of books on patient advocacy, information therapy, all of which are again available free. We think if we put the patient at the heart of the healthcare system, which is where the patient should be, obviously, the only reason we do what we do is for the sake of the patient. And that way everyone is happy. Patients are happy, their relatives are happy, good doctors are happy, so that patients have realistic expectations. And we don't want bad doctors to be happy in any case, right?
That's true.
So that's as far as the healthcare piece. So we run a free patient education library. We've been doing for many years. And one of the other avatars is now the startup investing piece. So I've been an active angel investor for many years now. I'm on the board of a large company which is going to IPO fairly quickly. So I've been doing that and actively angel investing in quite a few startups. Do that through my family office because I understand very little about it. But again, that's fun. It helps to keep you young, keep you motivated, optimistic about the future. जब बाल सफेद हो जाते तो you keep on saying, ये आजकल के बच्चे कुछ समझते नहीं है. हमारे ज़माने में हम ये करते थे, फलाना करते थे. The world is going to the dogs. And the reality is not. Lots of things are improving, getting better. I'm sure we've let the younger generation down. I'm hoping they won't let their next generation down. So you want to catalyze some of that change. And one of the things I can do that effectively is by signing checks. So I'm very optimistic. I think entrepreneurs have the right to change the world. They have the guts. And if I can help them do that, more than happy to do that.
All right.
So but it all actually becomes a very positive virtuous cycle, quite frankly. So one of the things we did is we started what is called the Medical Innovation, Creativity and Entrepreneurship, the MICE Lab in JJ Hospital. So we can help medical students to be creative and innovative. So that if they're creative and innovative, obviously, the way they will provide care for their patients will be that much better. It's not just a question of coming up with better devices. They will also learn to think out of the box. They won't be confined to what the medical textbooks teach them. We're teaching them how to tinker, to do things with the hands, design thinking. How do you put the patient first? So lots of things. Life is fun.
Okay. Now, that was a lot of information to take in 30 seconds. And I got a lot of questions to actually now ask you. So one of the things that actually one of my friends told me about, that you were the India's first IVF specialist. You had the first ever IVF clinic in India. Is that information absolutely correct?
No, that's not true. That's not true. So the first IVF clinic was actually in a government hospital, which is KM Hospital, where I used to be a resident there, but it was done by Dr. Hinduja. And we were one of the first few IVF clinics in private practice in the country. No question about that. Yes.
Got it.
But I never want to be the first. I'd rather be the best.
That's the attitude that people should have. You just hit the nail right on the mark. Now, you mentioned something about medical. So let's talk about something in terms of how medical industry is not actually catering to patients. And I had spoken to an entrepreneur from Bangalore who in past had a lot of trouble, a lot of health issues. And one thing he realized, that doctors have somehow realized that they can make a lot of money by referring to other doctors. And that's a malpractice that goes on in the industry. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think, I've been fairly critical about the medical profession. I'm very unpopular amongst doctors. Let me tell you that. I call a spade a spade. I said, what is this? Why do we give cards? Why do we take bribes from pharma companies? Don't we have any standards of our own? We're professionals. That's what our entire special magic sauce is, the doctor-patient relationship. Why have we sold out? And pretty much an open secret. And no one likes to be told the truth, quite frankly. So, still a lone voice in the wilderness. And I honestly think sometimes there's a conspiracy of silence and multiple reasons for this. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
I think a lot of problems now is where medical education has got privatized. Yes. Again, thanks to politicians who want to make money on it. So obviously if people, in my day, I spent nothing on my medical. I actually got a Government of India scholarship. So my education was free. And it was in a government hospital, KM Hospital, brilliant doctors, lots of patients, lots of clinical expertise. And the other students, very competitive. So they kept you on your toes. So you learned a lot. And I'm a second generation doctor. Lots of things have changed. Now when you're spending so many crores on getting educated, obviously at some point, everyone's going to look for a return on investment. So everything's become commercialized. That contamination has started right from there. So really, what kind of people are you going to attract? That's one problem. Second is the role models for all these young medical students have got completely distorted. Your entire focus is how many marks can I score because it's a pyramidal system. I'm not happy with an MBBS. I want to do an MD. I'm not happy with an MD. I want to become super specialized. And no one really cares how much time you spend in the wards or how well you take care of your patients. It's just like how many check boxes have you done? How many marks have you got on your NEET exam? What has that got to do with clinical care? Who's teaching you empathy? Where are your positive role models? So here's a bad problem. It's now become worse. And now when you start practice, you do it with lots of good intentions. That's why everyone joins medicine in the first place. But I think medical college actually wrings that humanity and compassion out of you. Because it's all that cramming and mugging and competing with colleagues. And, who do you look up to? Everyone's on the take, so to say, and then You do what your seniors are doing, and if your seniors are giving cuts, अरे यार वो देता है तो मैं भी दूंगा, मैं किस खेत की मूली? If I don't give cuts, तो मेरे पास patient कहाँ से आएंगे? मैं भूखा थोड़ी ही मरने वाला हूँ. So by the time you start practice, you're 30. You own actually no assets. You've got debt because you've taken loans for your medical college, and no one's going to send you patients. You know, no one sends us patients in Mumbai because we don't give any cuts or kickbacks to GPs. So obviously, they would rather refer to some other IVF clinic which gives them a cut or a kickback. So all our patients come either through word of mouth, which is other patients who've got pregnant with us, or they come through our website. And that's the one thing I want to talk about, which I will do in a minute. So I think there are huge problems. And I think the corporatization of medicine has made it worse. Doctors are now treated as widgets. Ye tumhare, and you know, all these are open secrets, nothing new. And you know, a lot of doctors will say, Dr. Malpani, you're bad-mouthing the medical profession. How dare you say such things about what other doctors are doing? You know, I'm just saying the truth. And you don't want to hear the truth, then stop indulging in all these malpractices so that, you know, I automatically will get silenced and I won't have to say all these. But the tragedy is that is what is happening. So doctors in corporate hospitals are targets. And you don't meet your targets, bye-bye, you know, we'll find someone else. Very competitive world. No one wants to lose their job. So your entire thing is to keep your targets, you keep your corporate bosses and the managers happy. And obviously to do that, you need to do lots of tests. You need to do unnecessary tests. Who cares? You know, that's just the profit centers. You need to refer to another consultant. Tu uske patient bhejega, to wo tujhko patient bhejega. The patient ka theek hai, you know, ghumte rahega. And so many issues of moral hazard. Are yaar, tere paas insurance hai ki nahi? First thing a lot of doctors do these days is do what we call a wallet biopsy. You have insurance, na, tera kya jata hai? हाँ ठीक है, तुझको first class deluxe room देंगे, insurance company है पैसा भरने के लिए. So everyone knows, you know, doctors are intelligent. We know how to game the system, and lots of them do it well. You know, I've been fortunate. I've been an investor in the public markets. Never made any money on angel investing. Don't expect to make it either. But and I'll come back to why. But the equity markets have been kind, so I made more than enough money. So honestly, my professional income is irrelevant now. Small fraction of what I earn on my listed space. So that's more than enough for me. And the great thing about that income is it's passive income. You know, otherwise doctors are daily wage earners. I see a patient, I get paid. Don't see a patient, you know. So,
that's true.
And this way I don't need to worry about it anymore. So things have worked out very well for me. And that's what I'm trying to tell other young doctors. There is no reason for you to follow the trodden, beaten path. A lot of doctors say, you know, Dr. Malpani, you're an IVF specialist. You've been born with a silver spoon. What do you care? What do you understand about your problems? And I say the worst thing you could possibly do is actually give a cut or a kickback. The government takes away 30% of whatever you earn by taxes. And if you give a kickback, then 50% of what you earn goes away. And it's a race to the bottom. Today it's 50%. Tomorrow some competitor will give 55. Then you'll have to give away 55. What are you left with? And then the GP or the family physician bullies you and bulldozes you. You know, at the end of the day, you have no professional pride left in what you're doing. You're not doing the right thing anymore. You know, how can you sleep well at night? That's not what you started being a doctor for. So a lot of that has happened. And therefore, what I'm saying is cut out the middleman. The only reason you give a cut or a kickback is because there's a middleman who's sending the patient to you. You don't need a middleman anymore in this day and age. The website is there. You know, young doctors have lots of spare time because you don't have many patients. You're just starting practice. Spend time on creating digital presence for yourself. Patients are thirsty for information. They want information. Doctors are too busy to give the information, which is tragic because the word doctor is derived from the word dossier, which means to teach or to educate. Young doctors should be doing that. You know, all you require is a smartphone and create lots of videos. Share your information, share your knowledge, be liberal with it, do it in local languages so that patients can realize what the right truthful information is, which you can provide with no vested interest. You're positioning yourself as the expert so that when they watch your video, they trust you. They don't trust Dr. Google. Why would anyone trust Dr. Google? But they would trust a face. So if Dr. Sharma is providing that information, अरे यार ये जो बोलता है सच बोलता है, makes sense, समझता है मेरा दर्द क्या है, मेरे pain क्या है, वो मेरी भाषा में बात करता है. So, you know, I need a problem, let me go email him. You get a response to the email, yeah, this looks good. Why the hell should I go to someone else? Why don't I just go directly to him? So lots of things which young doctors can do to get patients to come directly to them. They don't need to do all the rubbish which people have been doing in the past. Shortcut the middleman, cut him out of the process. So I honestly think that can happen.
So, I have to say that you might be one of those very few people who actually understand the digital landscape very well, so that you were able to put your content out, because I came to know about you from LinkedIn, and that's where you used to actually put a lot of your content out. And I was not really aware. I'll be very honest here. I was more aware about your angel investing side of things because of how I used to look at you. But right now, having spoken to you, now I'm also getting to understand about how good of a IVF specialist you are, and how much you have put your content out there. But a lot of young doctors that actually have recently graduated from college, I believe that they do not yet understand how the system is working. What are your thoughts on that?
Doctors are smart, so don't tell me that. I think it just requires to get out of your comfort box and start saying, hey, how can I differentiate myself? Why do I have to do what everyone else is doing? You do what everyone else is doing, you're doomed to be an undifferentiated commodity, and then you will get treated like that. Create a brand name for yourself. What, little children are doing that as TikTok video starts? You think doctors are stupid or what? What do you require? All you require is a smartphone. हमारे ज़माने में मुझको HTML लिखना था. I mean, forget it. I'm just saying, come on, give me a break. Anyone can set up a website. It's free. You do Wix, you do WordPress, whatever you like. Acha, you're so lazy, you don't want to do it. You pay someone else to do it. What's the big deal? I hate people who make excuses in this day and age. No, so that doesn't cut any war. You're too lazy to do it, serves you right. Then you continue giving kickbacks, and you continue signing off 50% of your income to some other idiot just because he sends patients to you. Then don't sit and complain to me. What have you done to stand out from the rest?
That's true.
Trust me, if you're a doctor practicing in Assam and you're creating YouTube videos in Assamese, you've created a niche for yourself. That gives you the right to win in that space. That's not rocket science, boss. That's common sense.
Yeah. So a lot of people, I'm not sure here, but I think that they do not yet understand the noise to signaling ratio here, as to how they can break out of the noise and actually get more patients, get more visibility out there. So that might be a challenge.
I'm telling them,
awareness.
We're giving them solutions, boss.
That's
We're
true.
saying, come on, get out of your rut. High time you actually did something. You know what I would do if I were the dean of a medical college? Actually, if I were the principal of a school also, the first thing I would tell every student is your first assignment is create your own website with your own domain name. I don't care whether you're 5 years old. You can't do it, get your parent to do it. This is such value. It's much more valuable than your Aadhaar card or your PAN card or your UID, because this is going to remain with you for the rest of your life. And as you grow up, you add bells and whistles and create content. And this will be your mother-in-law will look at it and say, "Arey yaar, ye to sachmuch hoshyar." Your prospective mother-in-law. Sorry, I'm kidding. But the point is that this is something which people can see what kind of person you are, what your interests are, what you've done. When you are applying for a promotion, you're applying for a job. When you want to do a job interview, that's all there. People want to see it, great. They don't want to see it, that's great. There, look out. But you're sharing information. Just imagine what happens. You understand that's unique. That's USP, no question about that. That's yours. And if you've been doing it consistently, that proves your discipline. That proves that you're able to create content. You've created a personal brand for yourself. You can do it for yourself. You can obviously do it for the company you work for. Imagine the amount of signaling which you're providing consistently. And then the way you look at the world changes. I have to think, "Arey yaar, mujhe LinkedIn pe post karna hai." Oh, sorry, I'm not on LinkedIn anymore. I'll come back to that.
Yeah,
mujhe
we'll
tweet
talk
karna
about
hai.
that.
So, I will. But मुझे ट्वीट करना है तो मुझे कुछ तो सोचना पड़ेगा कि मैं क्या करूं. So therefore, I have to read more actively. I can't just think about what my interests are. I have to think about what's likely to interest readers. I have to keep up to date with digital medium, which I have to know about what's happening on the internet. Lots of good things happen because you have to remain cutting edge, so to say. You can't afford to remain obsolete. Kids are competitive, and if I were a school teacher, I'd give marks for the best website. I would incentivize them to do that. I mean, just so many opportunities. The one thing which I'm actually ashamed about. We keep on talking about our demographic sweet spot. Where are we digitally? When you have a democratic platform, anyone is free to publish anyone they want, anything they want. Where are Indian voices being heard? And it doesn't matter if you're uneducated, doesn't matter if you're illiterate, everyone can do this. That's fine. Even if you were a street seller, nothing's stopping you from actually doing that. And my point is that we're privileged, we're educated. I think people are selfish. I don't know what it is, honestly, whether they're scared, will I look like an idiot? What will people say? What do you care what people will say? Do it. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And if after a year you realize, God, that was such shit, delete it. No one's stopping you. It's your content. But the more often you do it, the better you will get. It actually becomes a positive virtuous cycle. The beauty is, out of 100 people, 100 realize the importance, but only one will do it. And if you're the one doing it, you straight away create an edge for yourself.
So just talking about why people don't join in, I believe that there are two reasons that I might have actually pointed towards because I've spoken to a couple of people. One might be a lack of discipline, and second is lack of confidence. So a lot of people are still afraid to show themselves on camera if they are making videos or writing content.
बॉस अगर एक्सक्यूज करना है ना तो मैं और तुझे 50 एक्सक्यूज देता हूँ. मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, मेरा कैमरा अच्छा नहीं है, मेरा ऑडियो सेटअप अच्छा नहीं है, मैं अच्छा नहीं दिखता हूँ, मेरा come on. Okay, you're so ashamed of the way you look, put on a mask, no? Get a Modi ji mask if you like, if you're sorry, kidding apart. But there's so many ways of doing it. So come on, you want to make excuses, I'll make 100 excuses for you. What that's.
You are absolutely right. I do agree with you. Like, it's a prerequisite. If you don't have a website, at least you have to have some sort of social media presence out there, and not just for medical professionals.
I would still say start with a website. I would say start with a website, and I'll come back to the LinkedIn thing again. Because, every social media presence is completely dependent on the social media platform. So you're at their mercy. Whereas if you have a website, and let's be honest, today it's LinkedIn. After 3 years, it'll be something else. MySpace went away. All these things will come and go. Your website's not going to go away anywhere. The website should still be the heart. Once you have a website, you can then feed that to, whatever social media platform you want. And why restrict yourself to one media platform? My whole point is, populate all of them. Each one will be different depending on what your interests are. So let me tell you a little this thing which happened. We'll come back to the LinkedIn. So one of the things I realized is that all these social media platforms can keep you hostage because you're completely dependent on their whims and fancies and terms and conditions and what they choose to regard as unprofessional behavior, all kinds of things. So therefore, I said, this is ridiculous. It's going to hurt me. So what I did was, I actually downloaded all my content, it's user generated, and then created my own blog. So that's called myIndianAngel.in. So, yeah, so that IndianAngel.in now is my personal property. I can put up content, I can scrape whatever I write from LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever else. So that's the place to go to. I own that, I can decide. Then we realized, hey, this is not a problem which is unique to me. I'm sure other people will have the same problem. Not saying other people will get kicked out of LinkedIn and that's why they need an alternative. But other people will want to explore. Now, for example, when I was active on LinkedIn, I never used to tweet. Now that, I tweet a lot. So I'm learning the advantages and why Twitter is a better platform in some respects. My point is that I'm making lemonade from the lemons. So I should thank LinkedIn for that. But I'll come back to that. But the point is that if it's a problem which I've faced, maybe other people will face it. So what we did is we actually created a site called amplifyyourvoice.in. And that's again coming back to exactly what you're saying. Is that anyway you're an influencer on social media platforms. You have a following, you're creating a lot of user-generated content. But you know what? Who's monetizing this content? You aren't. What are you getting out of it except a little dopamine kick? कि अरे यार अभी मेरे 100,000 फॉलोअर्स है, मेरे 120,000 फॉलोअर्स है, लेकिन क्रीम तो सब बाकी के लोग लेके जा रहे हैं, तुझे क्या मिल रहा है उससे? Nothing at all. So we're actually offering a way to people to monetize that by directly owning your followers. Today you don't own your followers. You don't even know what the email addresses of your followers are on LinkedIn. But with this particular site, we effectively said, just like I created IndianAngel.in, you can create your own WordPress. We will do it for you, all magically. You don't have to do anything yourself. We will get your content from your LinkedIn or whatever social media platform. We will automatically populate this blog. So it's not a blank sheet.
Okay.
All the work you've done will automatically get recreated here, which you then own. But much better is that you will now be able to send out emails to your followers. You will own your followers. You can upsell them, cross-sell them, do whatever you feel like. You know, the trouble with LinkedIn is the moment you put a post, it has such a short half-life. Because obviously there are lots of other things coming up. So by the time you put it, 50 other posts will have come up. People will have lost
That's
it.
true.
They won't be able to find what they want. Whereas on your blog, it will always be there. You can highlight, you can pick and choose. But the magic is that you publish once on your own blog, it is automatically republished to all the social media platforms. So we will publish to LinkedIn, we will publish to Twitter, we will publish to Instagram, we will
That's
publish.
amazing.
There are tools to do it automatically. So that not only do you now own your own digital website, which no one in the world can do anything about, more importantly, you've now amplified your reach because you're no longer restricted to one platform. You're now getting that opportunity to explore all the popular social media platforms.
Got it. Yeah.
Without moving a single finger. So imagine the amount of power we are giving to the user. That's exactly, my whole point is the internet was supposed to be democratic. We were not supposed to be bullied by all these social media platforms. You can't do this and you can't do that. And we're trying to give that power back to the user.
Yeah, in the United States, we are seeing something of similar extent happening right now because they have actually taken so much power with Google, with Apple, Facebook. These entities have become so big that they are controlling other people also. So that's very true. Now, I had read about amplify your voice.in. I had not yet used it. I will in future. I do plan to use it. So thanks a lot for actually letting me know.
Yeah, please we'd love, so, be a beta tester. So right now I'm treating this as one of the experiments we're running. And again, I'm a frugal investor. So here I'm being a frugal entrepreneur. I'm saying I'm going to try out little things. Again, not my expertise. I'm doing it in partnership with other people. Yeah. One of them is Anand. One of them is Adesh. Saying, let's try it out. It was my pain point. It worked very well for me. It's a logical leap of faith that, other people want to be influencers. They want to grow their web presence. They want a digital face. If we can help them to do it, so why don't we? So that's definitely something we're exploring.
That's wonderful. Now, this is one of the things that I actually really wanted to talk to you about. And you had actually said this, that companies run by missionaries versus companies run by mercenaries. The ones that actually succeed in the long run are those that are run by missionaries and not those that are run by mercenaries. Can you please care to elaborate that statement?
So, lots of people obviously won't agree with me. They'll say, oh, look how much money Byju has raised. ये सब मिशन की बात सब रबिश है. हाँ, पैशन मिशन स्टेटमेंट वगैरह अच्छा है, कंपनी के बोर्ड के ऊपर डालो, लेकिन किसको लेना देना है? तू पैसा बना रहा है, कोई सवाल नहीं पूछता है. And sadly, perhaps that isn't. I think in a way, everything your mom taught you about the importance of being like Ram and stuff like that is like, अरे यार वो तो सब mythology है, इससे क्या लेना देना? Which is a little bit sad. But I honestly believe that. I mean, I think there is more to life than making money. I think it's important that you sleep well at night. It's important that you do things which you're proud of. It's important that you think about the legacy which you're leaving for the next generation, for your grandchildren, so many things. So it's something I believe. Maybe it's old-fashioned, but you know what? It may actually be very future thinking, because I honestly think, and I'll tell you what, I'm a social impact investor. So not that I invest across the board. I'm very happy to invest in non-social impact enterprises, provided they fit our criteria. But the reason I invest in social impact is I actually think they will end up making more money for me. Let me explain why. So there are three things. One is financial capital, which I'm providing them. There always used to be a problem for these guys. So that's a problem we've overcome. I think they've got two other things which are magical, which other people don't. The second is human capital. The kind of people these missionary entrepreneurs attract are the kind of guys who are working there because they care about what you're doing. They care about the users. They will not go just because someone else offers them a 20% increment. They are passionate, they're devoted, they're loyal. These are the guys who actually build a company from scratch. Do you think any Byju's employees really care one way or the other about Byju? tomorrow WhiteHat, अरे नहीं WhiteHat तो अभी Byju हो गया, तो
Yes.
कल टॉपर है कोई तो भी उसको 20% इंक्रीमेंट देगा, तो इसे Byju बाढ़ में जाए, मैं टॉपर को जाऊंगा. So there's no loyalty. So what kind of people are you attracting? People who churn, and how can you really create a world-class company with that kind of stuff? I mean, that's anyway. So that's the second bit. That's the human capital. We also have the advantage of social capital. Gen X, millennials, all these guys, they care about the impact on the globe, on the earth. They care about equality, equity, fairness, and they will actually pay extra for social impact entrepreneur products because they think, no, this is the right thing we should be doing. So I'm actually extremely optimistic. It'll take time. It's okay. I'm not in a rush. I don't expect, like I said, to make any money on this stuff.
So,
And that's a luxury I have. Let me tell you that. Because I'm not a VC, because it's personal money I'm deploying, I actually have the luxury to do a lot of stuff that sounds very idiosyncratic and counterintuitive. Trust me, VCs were deploying their own money after 2 drinks. They'd say, yeah, we like what this guy is doing. They'll never ever say it publicly. They can't afford to. Because come on, they're on a bichara. I feel sorry for them at some point. They're also on a treadmill. They have to raise the next fund. They have to provide returns to their LPs. So many things. So they have a lot more constraints than I do. I only have to answer to my wife.
That's true. So VC model, I believe in future might change in terms of startups. But again, I would like to contribute it a little bit. See,
sure, please.
Yes. So in missionaries, I believe there are a lot of missionary statements that people actually put out. So I'm just talking about the character of a missionary. They are not heavily incentivized to make an impact in a certain amount of time. Whereas the thing about a mercenary, although they care about money, they actually get the job done. So that's the thing that I do like about a mercenary in that sort of thinking.
Perfect. So that's the advantage of going to a government official, because वो पैसा लेगा तो काम करवाएगा. So in one sense you're justifying the corruption. Whereas सीधा साधा आदमी है, पैसा भी नहीं खाता है, काम भी नहीं करता है. I don't understand why this false dichotomy. Are you telling me that missionaries cannot be efficient? That's not true. And that's why you need to marry the best of both worlds. Yes. And of course they can. And I think it's very possible. So that's one of the things we're trying to get to them. We're saying, hey, I've given you money. I expect a return on that. So, we will teach you how to be able to multiply it correctly. We will teach you what needs to be done. We will teach you governance. We will teach you how to keep track of all these things. But all that can very easily be learned. So it's much easier for missionaries to learn how to do all this stuff. See, the reality is they never bothered to do it. Because government grant, trust, and I think part of it is also, I don't want to get my hands dirty and all that stuff. But I think they're realizing that, let me give you an example. Look at Teach for India. Brilliant organization. Shaheen is a brilliant entrepreneur, cares about kids. But the impact is going to be what? When you're dependent on someone, charity, philanthropy, whatever else, how much can you accomplish? Big mountain, har ek saal, 2 saal. Who wants to be in that position? And I think that's a losing proposition. And therefore, you've got to change it. In 10 years, Byju's impacted. I don't know what the word for misimpacted is, but whatever is created, if you just want to count the number of students you've reached, far more. But effectively what you're saying is missionary auto, you have to do bad things. You can't afford to do the right thing well enough because you don't have enough money. So missionaries are constrained because they care so much about the mission that they don't have enough funds to be able to do the right thing. And mercenaries care so much about funds that they don't care about the bad things which they're doing. So effectively, you're setting this up as a paradox or a dichotomy. You settle for the money and then don't care about doing bad things, or you do only good things, but then accept the fact that you're not going to be able to reach out to many people. I think that's false. You can't combine quantity with quality. And actually, if you do that, and that's my whole point, you have an unfair edge because people like Shine don't care about the money. So, when you don't care about the money, you actually have an edge over people like Byju who are forced to care about the money because you're only going to care about what's my return on investment. Whereas you can do the same thing for free. The beauty is, how do you cleverly do it for free? So you can still become sustainable and scalable. And that sounds like a paradox, but let me give an example.
Sure.
Think about this. if you gave away digital information free of cost, your marginal cost in this day and age is virtually zero. There's a cost of producing, which is once.
Yes.
But you have so much user-generated content. So why aren't all these kids producing videos? Why aren't all these teachers producing videos and uploading them? You know, you have 10,000 teachers and straight away, even if they did just one a day, at the end of it, you would have 3 lakh videos on YouTube in local Indian languages by kids, by teachers who care about their children. You know, put up these videos. Maybe no one will watch the videos. Maybe but the fact of the matter is you create 100,000 videos, just by the law of probability, 1% will go viral. So you've done all this for free. Please understand.
Yes.
This is how you started creating branding, digital branding. Now your next step is to monetize it. And again, you have multiple options. The best option is to say, hey, all this is free and this is our philosophy. We will not charge a penny for this. This is the platform. And we encourage you to contribute your own free content. And you like what we have, please add more. But if you want hand-holding, if you're stuck in a particular point, you want a tutor's help, then that tutor will charge you money. I think that's extremely fair. And then you will do it at different levels. You want a help from a student, and trust me, students are the best tutors. So you're stuck in the 6th standard. Hey, there's a smart 7th standard student who just did this last year. वो आके तुझको सिखाएगा, वो ज़्यादा charge नहीं करेगा. Obviously, you know, for him it's French income. So that's the first level. You want the next level, we charge you more. You want the next level, we will charge you more. And there will be some parents who say, "Arey yaar, I just want the best." तो IIT professor कितना मांगता है? Tutoring के लिए 10,000 ना? My child wants the best. तो उसको 10,000 pay कर 1 hour के whatever. I'm just saying there are multiple ways of doing this. You just got to think that way, not hard. And you actually have an edge because you know what? You don't need to give the money back to the VC. So you can do what's right for the user without worrying about, hey, I'm cannibalizing my business. I'm going to lose my income if I start doing this. You're not.
Okay.
You're creating positive, virtuous cycles.
That's really true. That's really true. So I'll just reiterate my statement.
So the next question actually you should ask Bhuvanyu, doctor, you're so smart. Why aren't you doing it?
No, I understand the motivations. Different people have different set of motivations. Some people want to be a catalyst to the change and somebody want to be the change themselves. So I understand your motivation perfectly, that how you are putting content out there, you are still inspiring a set of people or a set of aspiring entrepreneurs to take decisions which are going to be beneficial for the customer at the end, not the VC or not going after money. So I understand the virtue cycle that you are creating. I would just want to reiterate my statement. I would, if I was an angel investor or I was a VC, I would really invest in a missionary who is really driven. Because my statement previously, which I said that, you know, mercenaries get things done. It's a matter of drive. So that was my only problem. So I would still go after a missionary who is driven.
The trouble is they get the wrong things done. They get the bad things done. Is that something which is very desirable? I'm not convinced, okay? I think that's actually the path to hell. So it's like saying, yeah, we're very efficient, we're making great speed, but making great speed to go where? You know, I think direction and the path counts far more than that. But you're right. I mean, I'm not saying it's, like I said, it's early days, and at some point in fair criticism, you know, what right do you have to say, Dr. Malpani? What have you achieved? You know, where are your success stories? And that's right. But I'm hoping at some point, some good will come out of it. So I cannot create a success story within 4 years because by definition, I'm trying to say, I need to grow arithmetically, organically. I need to earn the right to win. But at some point, you know, at least if the path is there, I hope we'll get that. You know, but one more thing I should say, Bhuvanyu. Please do not confuse angel investors with VCs. These are two completely different animals with two completely different motivations, very, very different. You know, I know for the sake of seed investing, kahan se milega? Angel invest or VC, but that's not true. And there are lots of angel investors who are very mercenary in their approach. Who will say, hey, kya yaar, to paisa kamana hai. 5 saal ke andar ye company अपन VC को बेच देंगे. And that's also fine. You know, I'm not allergic to money. I think that's okay. That's just not my style. That's all.
Sure, that's perfectly understandable. So, what are your thoughts on?
Then I'm going to ask me about Byju or what?
I will ask you. I promise you, I will ask you. Although, yes. So, what are your thoughts on cohort-based learning?
You don't have much time left, Bhuvanyu. You don't want people to start getting boiled. So, ये तो गाछ चाला चालू ही करता रहता है. when is he going to get to the meat of the matter? कुछ तो अच्छा पूछना चाहिए. ये तो सब पहले सुना हुआ है. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to hijack it. Go ahead. Whatever you want.
So, okay, so post that, we'll just get started with the story that happened with Byju. And I'm kind of disappointed as well. Like, I was really disappointed to see that happen. But what are your thoughts on cohort-based learning, which takes a very small set of people where you provide them with a mentor, you take them through, you handhold them through the entire process, but you do not make the content for masses. The content is is set for very small set of people who are highly driven, highly accountable, and will get things done. So is that something that we can expect from future of edtech companies?
And in fact, that is what incubators are doing. That you put a group of smart people. That's the YC model effectively, depending on how much handholding you want to provide. Everything works. The hardest thing in the world to do is to judge a person. Very difficult. So, I can look at a person and make out ki wo kitna motivated hai. I can see the fire in his belly. I'm such a good judge of character. Don't fool yourself,
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Everyone thinks, and we all have this positive biases and how smart I am. But be that as it may, and the reality is people change. Uska pet bhar jata hai. He has other things to do. He presents a public face to you because he wants something from you. He hides his true colors. And entrepreneurs can be extremely charismatic, very good at selling. So, no, I don't think there are any easy solutions. So the way I say is there are multiple paths to Nirvana. I'm not saying I have a monopoly on any of them. Whatever works for you is fine. Experiment, try it out. तुम जितना ज़्यादा experiment करोगे उतने ज़्यादा तुम्हारे success के chances है. But experiment in a place where you have the right to win. So I do not have the ability to write $1 million checks. I wish I did, but I don't. So that's my constraint. But constraints or creativity. I can continue thinking counterintuitively. Hey, because I can't write $1 million checks, but you know what? I can comfortably write 2 crore checks. And VCs can't comfortably write 2 crore checks because then they would end up writing too many and not be able to monitor. So why don't I play to where my strength is? Multiple ways of doing this.
Got it. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So I believe like I'm right now a beta tester for a startup that is working on changing the way how we perceive edtech, and it's focusing on cohort-based learning. So I have high hopes for that startup.
No, in fact, I completely agree. I'm a big believer in peer-to-peer learning, whatever name you want. So let me put it this way. My big model for Edu-tech is get rid of all the schools. Sounds like a very, revolutionary thing to say, but, and I'll come back to that. So I think let's just stop this entire dependence. Education or learning or teaching only happens in schools. That's just not true. I think everything needs to be at home. Everything needs to be self-learning, and then provide as many tools as required to help that individual student to self-learn. And some kids will learn all by themselves and don't want to be told what to do. And some kids will require handholding at various different, some will require motivation by parents, some will require motivation by uncles and grandparents, some will require motivations from friends or from enemies. Who knows, whatever else it is. So I think there are multiple ways of finding it out. And then start with the end user and then start building. So what am I saying? I'm not saying get rid of schools completely. They will still have a role to play, but they will be more like physical learning centers. Attendance is optional. This is what you can do. This is where you can hang out. This is where there will be a teacher available. You want to talk to her, talk to her. Don't want to talk to her, don't talk to her. She's not going to tell you what to do. At the end of the day, this is what your output is going to be. You're going to decide your own output, whatever works for you. It's like you teach kids how to walk and to talk. Where do you tell kids, "Arey yaar, aaj you have to walk 10 steps"? And we forget all that common sense. That kid will automatically motivated to walk 10 steps. And trust me, he walks 10 steps. He will want to walk 100 steps on his own. Whether you tell him, you can't say, "Aaj se 10 step karna aur band karna." And he will want to run because he's an osmotic curiosity machine. He absorbs everything. He wants to talk to you guys. He wants to walk with you guys. So he will do whatever you're doing. You just leave 100 books lying around in the house. Automatically, that kid will learn for himself. Doesn't need to go to school to learn. So we love to take all the credit, but don't deserve most of it.
I do agree with you here, even though it's a contrarian like opinion here right now in the times that we live in, but self-enablement for learning is really, really important. People need to understand that, a person is different. They learn at different paces, and you just need to actually provide them to tools to learn, not just, put them through something or indoctrination of schools. That's what takes place. I still remember my school days. I did not enjoy much there at that point in time. So I do agree
But
that there is
the problem is kya ho jata hai? As you get older, your memory starts reconstructing things, and you selectively remember the good times and all your old
yes,
friends, how you used to hang out and how you used to tease the girls and all that kind of good stuff. And you forget how many detentions you had, how many times the teacher made you cry, how many times your parents smacked you for not doing well in an exam, how you didn't manage to come first in a race because someone else cheated. वो सब memory selectively edit कर जाती है.
so I
And,
might think
I
I
mean,
might an
you,
exception.
sorry?
I might be an exception to that. So I have a very full recollection of bad things that happened with me on school as well. So it's
No,
not an
I
easy
mean,
memory.
I'm saying that that's neither here nor there. I'm saying that you force kids
Yes.
between the age of 5 to 15 to spend time in school. Of course, they're going to learn socialization skills because
Yes.
they would have learned that whether you'd send them to school or not. Again, very common criticism. How will you learn to get along with other people? And obviously, you learn to get along with other people every single day of your life. You learn to convince your mom to give you pocket money. You learn to convince your dad to take care. You're doing that. What's the big deal? I mean,
Yes.
you convince your neighbors, your friends. I think, I think in fact, school is the most artificial environment you could possibly provide. Makes no sense to me. Anyway.
All
Okay,
right.
last 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay. So let's actually get started with Byju. So you were actually pointing out to some of the unethical practices that Byju was conducting, both at an employee level and at an customer level. And I highly agree with you there because, I had spoken to a couple of salesmen that work at Byju. They were not happy. And I knew the customers. I have not really heard of them. So the one thing that I feel that Byju is doing wrong is that they are not thinking on end customer. They are not being an ethical business, because when you are providing value to the customers, somebody would also have the ability to, reject you or, give you a review. If you do not provide that ability, that makes the business somewhat shady in my sense, because they directly sell 5-year or 6-year courses to students. And at the end of the day, when the course is complete after 6 years, there is nobody else to actually review, what did I learn from it? So that's what I feel that Byju did wrong. And you were really right to, question that practice. Yet your LinkedIn account was blocked. And I feel that that was the biggest infringement on freedom of speech on a platform like that. So please share that story with us.
So again, at two different levels. So one thing I will tell you, I'm an equal opportunity critic. Byju is not the only company I've criticized. I've criticized lots of companies. And, I think I can afford to call a spade a spade. I don't need to be politically correct. And a lot of people used to criticize me on LinkedIn. अरे यार इतना negative आदमी है, हर एक कुछ ना कुछ के बारे में खराब ही बोलता है. जो मैं positive बोलता था वो लोग कभी पढ़ते नहीं थे. जो मैं negative बोलता था वो उसके ऊपर बोलते थे, which is a different issue. Okay, fine, And the reason I criticize my daughter, I don't criticize my neighbor's daughter. I don't care about my neighbor's daughter. Oh yeah, such a sweet girl. But I want to maximize my own daughter's potential. And therefore, I always tell people, all criticism is actually, every complaint is a gift. We want you to do better. And Byju had the opportunity to fix a completely broken education system. But they frittered that away. But like I said, it wasn't just Byju. I've criticized Practo in the past. I've criticized the VC system. That's why I'm not a very popular guy. But be that as it may, which is fine. So you're right. I said the truth. I don't think I ever said anything which was incorrect or wrong. Instead of acknowledge, and well, what's the very interesting things? Byju themselves got back to me. This is the chief people officer, publicly on LinkedIn saying, thank you, this is correct. We're fixing our ways. Yes. So they say that with one face, and then behind my back, they stab me by getting LinkedIn to remove me by saying, your posts are defamatory. So I thought that was very slimy and hypocritical on Byju's part. Again, they could have taken the higher moral ground. They chose not to do that. And that's their lookout. I really don't care. But what is actually disappointing is how LinkedIn has behaved. And we're going to High Court. We're filing a writ petition for multiple reasons. It's not just a question of affecting me. Really, honestly, how does any of this make a difference to me? but it will affect other people. You cannot allow all these guys to get away with this. This is actually the positioning themselves as a supra-constitutional authority, which now decides freedom of speech, which now decides what is defamatory or not defamatory without following natural principles of justice, without giving people the right to appeal, without following due process. Because I on LinkedIn have decided that this is defamatory, and who the hell are you to ask me to challenge my, I don't even care about your opinion, I'm not even allow you to challenge it. I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. You have a US multinational corporation telling us as Indian citizens what we're allowed to do and we're not allowed to do, and you're not answerable to anyone. You're kind of, you have all this legal boilerplate, and you talk about terms and conditions. You don't spell them out. You don't specify. You're deliberately vague and arbitrary, because you can then manipulate that vagueness and arbitrariness to, choose. And you look at their responses, and all this is, once we file the case, it'll all be there in the pleadings. I mean, they just make a joke of whatever they say. And that's been so disappointing, quite frankly. And that's, okay, be that as it may. The point is, you need to bring this reality out to people, that you cannot afford to allow these guys to make these calls and these things, because they will make it for all the wrong reasons. Today, they're doing it because they're kowtowing to Byju's VCs, investors, whatever else, because Byju is a huge advertiser on LinkedIn. So they're effectively getting bullied and saying, yeah, we don't want to lose that revenue stream. So whatever Byju says, we will do. Where does this kind of thing end? What right do we have to free speech? Do we have a right or not? And if we don't, fair enough, then say, okay, fine, we're in China. We're not giving you any rights at all. Don't pretend. I hate that hypocrisy. So I'm a big believer in being integrity, being honest, being open. I don't like people hiding and, stuff away. And to that extent, a lot of that has been pretty shameful. I always say silence speaks so loudly. The fact that Byju chose to keep quiet about all my posts, if they thought they were defamatory, they could have easily taken me to court. Why does LinkedIn have to make a judgment that my posts, and who the hell is LinkedIn to decide whether my posts are defamatory? And the reality is, truth is the best defense against defamation. If my posts are honest, by definition, it cannot be called defamatory. But, LinkedIn has decided, and Byju's will not dare take me to court, because they understand that the judiciary is open and transparent. But LinkedIn, they can manipulate all these screws and do everything they want behind the back and get away with it. But, okay, let them get away with it. They've got away with it for so long. I'll try to make sure they don't get away with it forever. And I honestly think the judiciary understands the importance and will hopefully give us justice. Let's wait and see. There's a lot at stake here. It's really not Dr. Malpani's account. But if people like me don't fight, I have the money, I have the right friends, it's all documented clearly. I have a particular opinion, may not be a popular opinion. But, if you want to start silencing unpopular opinions, then what kind of democracy do you live in?
So in this scenario, who are you most disappointed with? Is it LinkedIn or is it Byju's? Because in my sense, I'm not really happy with the way Byju's is conducting business. I'm not really a fan of the way that it has been going on. What are your thoughts?
Let me tell you one thing. You can only hurt people where it hurts them, right?
Yes.
So posting on LinkedIn is not going to hurt them, because they've got an online reputation management agency which removes all those things. And there are enough new bakras who will look at a Shah Rukh Khan ad, or now with this Sundar Pichai. I don't know how they managed to do that and why Sundar Pichai is allowing them to do that. But whatever, all these ads. So there are enough new bakras born every minute, enough suckers, and they have the brand name and stuff like that. They can continue buying all this stuff. You need to hurt Byju's where it hurts, and it only hurts them in their pocketbook. So if you start providing the same content which Byju charges an arm and a leg for free, that'll hurt Byju's.
Got it.
And I think that's the right thing to do. And that's basically what so I'm not doing it to hurt Byju's, let me tell you that. But if you do that, then they will automatically clean up their act. They'll be forced to clean up their act. And I always tell people, it's very hard to compete with free. And there's so much great quality free content on YouTube, on this thing. So, and honestly, I'm just looking for the right entrepreneur to fund. 80% of the work's already been done. And there's enough potential to make this go viral. So you don't even need to spend money on any of this advertising rubbish. That effectively, you basically say, hey, this is a free website. This is a list of curated content. You will provide it whichever way you want. We'll mix and match it for you. We will provide it according to syllabus, according to grade, according to topic, according to, this is what I want to learn about, check it out, whatever you want. All this content has already been created. So go ahead and watch it. We're curating it for you because people, you give them a blank slate, they never know what to do. They're paralyzed, brain freeze ho jata hai. So this is content which is curated by IIT graduates. Great selling point.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you curate the content. You then allow users to grade the content so that it starts becoming a positive virtuous cycle. So users will then start, just like Reddit or whatever else does. So then the good content will start surfacing.
Yes.
Then you allow users to generate their own content, if for nothing else. So you combine, in a sense, Wikipedia with the, because Wikipedia is a single point of truth,
yes,
with user generated or a community way of doing it. So that there's a single page which everyone can keep on editing and adding to, which can then start providing links to your content. So you will then start creating your own. At some point, your goal should be, hey, my content should then be listed on top because it's much better, because it's in a local language, or because a 7-year-old kid does it. And a 7-year-old kid is far brighter than an IIT graduate who suffers from the curse of expert knowledge and has forgotten what problems you had when you were trying to understand what Pythagoras theorem is. But a 7th standard student remembers because he just struggled through it last year. So he understands, and he will use metaphors and language, stories which will engage with you and understand with you. And then you start creating that positive virtuous cycle. So, once I find the right entrepreneur, and the great thing is this is not an expensive exercise at all. And then a lot of magical things happen. There's peer-to-peer learning, there's community-based learning, there's communication, you're stuck somewhere. Plus, there is the option to monetize. On this platform, you want an instant answer, we'll charge you so much. On this platform, you want someone to hold your hand, we will charge you so much. Whatever. I don't think that's a problem at all. Again, leap of faith. That's my approach. Okay, so we're nearing our 60-minute time for the last question. And then we need to make sure people say, okay, we want Dr. Malpani to speak some more rather than when is this guy going to shut up?
Okay. So there's not really any more question left in my thought process. But one thing that I do realize that LinkedIn did wrong in what had happened was that, there is a wide line of distinction between a troll and somebody providing criticism, feedback. And what LinkedIn did was actually mark you as a troll who is just, making infamous remarks regarding Byju, and then actually banned you. So that was quite wrong. Secondly, is there
but that wasn't just done by an algorithm. There was actually a human being who made that decision. That
true.
Bothers me. And the trouble is that human being did not escalate the decision to his boss. And his boss did not step in because that's the right thing which should have happened. Okay, let's see, why is everyone making such a fuss about it? Why is the Ken writing articles about, how irresponsible LinkedIn is? Someone needs to step in. Someone needs to say, this is a thought. LinkedIn should have the guts to have a debate with me online. And say, this is why we did what we did. This is why we think we're correct. But, they're just being silent. They're kind of saying, we don't give a shit about Dr. Malpani or the Ken or public opinion or anything else. I hope they give a shit about a high court at least.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So, I believe that, right now, youngsters, especially aspiring entrepreneurs, are actually attracted to the glamour that certain startups get. And they're not really inspired by the mission at all. And you have said this very correctly, that you should not be inspired by the money, but the problem that you are solving. Because as long as your end customer is happy, you are already going to some way or the another, you are going to make money. But that thought process has somehow changed. So if you can give some examples of, as an angel or as somebody who has spoken to so many entrepreneurs you get, is there somebody that actually is following on that right path, and you can give some examples of that?
So I think the great news is there are enough success stories and lots of books written on bootstrapping. There's a woman called Samana Mitra who does a lot of these things. But even in India, I think the two great success stories are, one is DMart.
Yes.
And I have so much respect for Radhakishan Damani, and they've done exactly the right thing. They put their customer first, and they do it all very ethically and very correctly. And I would say Zoho. I mean, so I think the trouble is that these guys don't care about press releases and publicity and the media. They're way beyond that, which in one sense is sad. No? I mean, these guys are the ones who should be the heroes, but they're so contented and satisfied in themselves. They say, I don't want to make any, song and dance about what I'm doing. Let my work speak for itself. And unfortunately, in India, your work you need to little amplify that a little bit. We need to find that magical combination. We'll see. We'll get there.
We have to be the catalyst for the change. I hope to actually, get Sridhar Vembu on this podcast if I'm actually lucky enough to get them on and get their thoughts on. So that would be a great achievement for me as well. Yes. And I believe, we have actually just run out of time, and as we had said that, and we don't want to bore any people. So one last question. Was I able to entertain you?
Well, actually, I should have changed that a little bit. I should have said the only thing I want you to do is make sure you entertain the listeners. And whether you actually entertain the listeners or not, we'll only know when the listeners start commenting on the video. So let's see what happens. Then I'll tell you whether it worked or not. But yes, I had a good time. I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here on this conversation with me. I had a lot of fun talking to you. I got some really interesting insights. And with that, I'll just stop my recording.